Welcome to another episode of our GURPS series, everyone. If you thought the last episode was chaotic, you're in for a treat. Before we get to the episode, here's what you can expect from our call to action at the end of the episode.
Stick around after the episode for a truly exciting Patreon Drive update, including thanking more patrons for their generosity.
Ooh. If this is your first time listening to our show, or you haven't heard the details about the drive, you can stay tuned to hear how you can score some sweet new Chessex dice and what we're offering if we reach our next goal. We will also be going over all the normal episode closer stuff, but for now, enjoy another exciting episode of GURPS character creation.
Last time on Character Creation Cast, we talked about GURPS. We didn't even get into character creation. We maybe picked out some points. I'm not really sure what's going on. Good luck with this one, everybody. Enjoy.
And I gotta see what page Snatcher's on. I'm doing this. I'm going to build a character that I had in mind and not worry about point total and see what I get.
So you're just gonna build it and see how many points it.
Exactly. I'm doing it reverse. I'm not going to build from a constraining mindset, but rather we'll just see how many points it takes to build the character I wanted.
Oh no,
That's
Snatcher
what
lets
I
you
was
get
thinking of
stuff
doing
across
too.
dimensions.
Oh no.
Snatcher is a power where you basically reach into hammer space and pull something out.
Oh, I must have been thinking something else.
That's
amazing.
neat. I'm not taking it, but that is neat. I'm also for sure not taking Smooth Operator.
There's so much to this game. Okay, so I don't know where to even start.
Okay, so what I've learned so far is that your basic attributes all start at 10. You get 10 for free.
Oh.
And
Two
then
of
you
them,
buy up or down. So if you go below 10, you get points.
Right, you can get those points back. So we're not going to do that because that's more points that I have to figure out what to do with. We're not doing that. 2 of them cost 10 points to increase by 1. 2 of them cost 20 points to increase by 1 because it would be too easy if we made sure
Well, yeah, because
that it costs the same thing to boost all of them.
Most skills are based on dexterity and intelligence. So boosting them boosts basically every skill that uses that, because all skills are stat plus ranks in that.
Right.
So it's way more expensive to get intelligence or dex up because way more things key off of it. Whereas strength is generally just how much damage you can deal and how much you can carry.
Yeah.
So they don't really care if you pump that up.
I did also learn that, quote, GURPS assumes you are right-handed unless you decide otherwise or by ambidexterity. If you choose to be left-handed, any combat result that would damage your right hand affects your left instead.
Yeah, choosing what hand you use miraculously changes reality so that your other hand takes damage.
Mm-hmm. Left-handedness is a feature worth 0 points.
It should be a disadvantage. You should get points. As a left-handed person, I feel pretty strongly about that.
Me too. As I was reading it, I was like, this is not right. This is discriminatory.
But yeah, you should get 5 points because I've spent my whole life being unable to use basic ringed binder note to write in because my hand squishes it.
Yeah, you want to talk about spiral notebooks?
Yeah. Yeah, or trying to write on a whiteboard.
Yes, or the fact, I'm writing on my iPad right now, and I have to pull my sleeve over my hand so that I can actually write, because otherwise it won't recognize
it senses
the pen.
Your hand, yeah.
It'll recognize the hand first.
Get bent mutants.
All
right, so we figured our starting points are going to be variable between everybody's characters, just because who knows what we're even doing here.
So Jef is just going to build something.
I'm not constraining myself. I'm going to build the character that was in my head, and we'll see how many points it takes. Because I feel like that's when you're putting a system through its paces. That's an interesting metric too.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. That'll be a very fun, like, to get what you want. How much would it cost?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of want to settle on like doing 100. It says that you can make a normal human.
Well,
I
that ship
guess we'll
sailed when I
see
gave
what
myself a
mine,
super high IQ.
what mine turns into. I just need to. Okay, so it looks like it's plus or minus 10 points per level for each attribute.
No.
No.
Just strength
No,
and
it
health.
is not. A score of 10 in any attribute is free and represents the human average. Higher scores cost points. 10 points to raise strength or health by 1 point or by 1 level.
Okay.
20 points to raise dexterity and intelligence by 1 level.
Good. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I see we have secondary characteristics that are based off of the primary characteristics. Is that right?
Mhm.
And skills.
Okay. I see we've got strength, dex, intelligence, and health. And then that can translate to damage, basic lift, hit points, which is different than health apparently.
Yes.
Think of health like constitution.
Will, perception, fatigue points, basic speed, basic move. Did I get everything?
Well,
I
don't
don't
forget to
know,
record
but
your
if
home
you
gravity.
talk, how can I think?
Oh yeah, your home gravity, of course.
You also need to figure out what size you are.
Why?
I mean, if you're a normal person, you're going to be size 0 because you don't deviate. But if you're bigger or smaller, then you should change your size.
I do want to point out that home gravity was not a joke.
Right.
I'm not.
It's literally in there.
Yeah, I have yet to make up a rule to mess with Amelia today.
It's too hard because it's already probably exists.
Well, I think that trick I can only really pull off if I'm intimately familiar with the game in the first place.
That's fair.
Yeah, because in this case, I may not be lying. I may just be wrong.
Okay.
I'm just waiting for you to tell me to multiply something by my cheese quotient or something, and then I'll know.
Hey, a lot of the skills do mention your key quotient, but there's no stat that measures that as far as I'm aware. I think it's just holdover slight bits of Orientalism from a GURPS martial arts supplement they just sort of jammed in here.
Okay. And being from Wisconsin, obviously my key is just cheese anyway.
Yeah, of course.
So I wasn't even wrong. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to make a little note here. Starting with 100 points.
What's the highest an attribute can be?
Well,
One to
They
20.
say
depends on your GM in the setting.
because there's
My
a question
brother
too
in
about like
Christ,
how many.
it depends.
It depends. Like they ask me, like how many disadvantages can you take too, and it's like, you can like do whatever, but
I would like all the disadvantages, please. And then I want to make a super powerful character. Is that fine?
No.
I mean, yes, technically, maybe.
If you want to figure out how those mechanics blend together.
Yeah. So in theory, it says, I will read from the book. In theory, you could keep adding disadvantages until you had enough points to buy whatever advantages and skills you wanted. In practice, most GMs will set a limit on the disadvantage points a PC may have. The purpose of this limit is to keep the game from becoming a circus, and also to like cap the power level in PC so there's room for growth. But it does say, in theory. So is that what you're going to do, Ryan?
Yeah. Every rule of this is technically, well, if you want.
It's just, I feel like I want to spend this character creation just being like, what loopholes can we?
Yeah, when I was a kid and I got invited to play a campaign of this with friends, that was almost an assumed default. We were playing a mecha pilot game, and so every character took halitosis and a bunch of other disadvantages that specifically would have no effect on people who were riding inside of a Voltron, because that you got extra points. And it was just sort of a running gag that, everybody here has one eye and bad breath and
body odor and
deep-seated personal problems and a hunchback. And And it doesn't matter. You need the points to be better at piloting.
Well, everybody knows bad breath makes you good at piloting.
Yes.
Now, I've played GURPS twice, and I'd say one of the games of GURPS I played actually used GURPS for, a reason. Because one was just a supers game, and I'm like, we didn't need to do this. There are better supers games out there.
Yeah.
But the other one was a game where the entire premise was everyone made like medieval level characters, but then all of you die and then get reconstituted in the future in a cyberpunk setting. So you make a medieval level character, and then you get like the GM takes your character and then hands it back to you, and you've got all these weird cyberpunk upgrades.
That's kind of fun.
So we had one guy who was like, oh, I was a medieval engineer. Like, I made catapults, and now I have downloaded all the data in order to, like, create weird tech monstrosities and super weapons and nonsense.
That's cool.
It's GURPS, apparently.
No, I
That's
said
GURPS,
cool.
baby!
I said cool.
You can do cool things with GURPS, is what I'm hearing. You just need to get there.
You can do
first.
cool things in spite of GURPS.
Okay, so I finally have a character concept, and I am desperately unsure of how to implement it in GURPS, and I'm wondering if I found a weird like thing that might not work the greatest in GURPS.
I don't understand the words you're saying.
I want to make a traditional magical girl.
I want to make a trad calf wife.
No kidding. You want to make a magical girl, huh?
I
Now
do.
I feel guilty
but
that I'm not making a necromancer.
I want to make a magical girl that is perfectly mundane and normal when not transformed.
And also when transformed.
When transformed, somebody extraordinary.
I'm pretty
Ryan,
sure
you're
you can do
describing
it, but
two characters.
Here's the thing.
I'm fairly
you just
certain
take all of your powers and you put a modifier on them for must be transformed to do.
Yep, it's very simple. It's just going to take you a tremendous amount of work.
Okay.
But you can do it because one of the modifiers is not always on, and you can just purchase that and have it with them all have the same rider. It'll be whenever you transform, they all turn on.
So I did see a modifier section in there.
Yeah.
So there's techniques, skills, a whole bunch of skills.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, all the skills. It's still skills. I'm scrolling up really fast here, and it's still skills.
Let me ask you, John, on a scale from horrific to transcendent, how attractive would you say
you are? I don't know.
No, not me. My character. How would you say he's a handsome gentleman?
No, I would not. I would never say that.
An average fellow?
Sure.
Okay. That means I don't have to do any point moving around.
So can I just like start picking skills? And like, is that the best place to start here?
I mean,
and then like not worry about the other stuff going up until I've finished what those skills do?
Like generally in order it goes advantages, disadvantages, and then skills, but you can just do skills and then figure out from there.
Okay, yeah, let's start with disadvantages because I feel like that's always my favorite part of characters.
Oh, interesting. Oh, so there's this always on limitation. That would be like that would be like Cyclops's eye beams, right?
Yeah, or like if you had a flamethrower power, then you wouldn't want it to be always on.
Right. That would be horrible.
Yeah. But then it would be like, oh, it's always so like Cyclops would be I have an innate attack that is a ranged attack that does like crushing damage. Now, I take the modifier for always on to make it be whatever percent less expensive, but then it's not as expensive because I also have a modifier for can be controlled using the ruby quartz. So you'd have a bunch of layered things, and then you would eventually find out how much you change that point value by.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a character, and then if it turns out that that's not the way you do it, I'm going to say, too bad. Okay?
Sure.
Makes sense to me.
It's as good a plan as any.
Ooh, I'm already at 274 points. So I'm going to have to do some work.
Hey, man, you get any of them disadvantages in there?
I'm sure I will get a million disadvantages for things like no find manipulators and all kinds of stuff like that. So I'll be fine.
Yeah.
I think I'll also just give him 1 month to live.
Oh.
It's like plus 150
good choice.
points.
Why would you do that?
Because
you get more points.
He's immortal. What are you talking about? He doesn't age.
that shell of him has no age. That's an avatar.
Yeah, man, that avatar does not age. That's an advantage. Put it on the sheet.
This character's going to be like 10,000 points.
As he should be. This character's got G intolerance.
Don't you come rolling in here with a case of Mickeys.
There's so much reading.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm trying to find the limitation that would let me have it only use these abilities during transformation, right? Or as after being transformed, right? And only by one side of split personalities is minus 40%. Only in altered body form.
There you go.
Invisible, insubstantial, etc. That's minus 10%. But like, is it altered body form?
Probably.
Magical. Okay, where are the? Is that under the? Gosh. Okay, so where are the superpowers? I guess is where the question is, right?
Oh, they're in advantages.
They're advantages.
Oh,
you can tell that they're more super if there's a little picture of a flexing guy. That's a supernatural type power.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, or a little alien head.
Yeah, but either way, you'll find powers that are just like beam or blast or burst. Superpowers.
If you want that, that's all under innate attack.
Yeah. Superpowers are made of parts in this game, so you just have to go through that advantage list and find the parts. You may also, if you go to page 256, I think it is, there's some starting superpower parts that'll show you, kind of what you have to do.
Okay.
Well, that part's easy.
Oh, okay, first of all, having bad eyesight is apparently a bigger disadvantage than manic depressive.
Oh.
Also,
what?
At the
I mean, I
beginning
guess that
of each session, you roll a d6. On a 1 through 3, you're manic. On a 4 through 6, you're depressed. So this indicates that you are not well controlled at all, and there's nothing in the middle.
And
so
your
cool.
swings happen like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's what it's like. Oops, day to day. You never know. And I'm like, really? Because my last depressive episode was a year long.
Yeah, you roll and it's just like, oh, yeah, you lost your roll. And within an hour, you switch to the other side. And you're like,
yep,
that's not how that works.
Yep. So when you're manic, you suffer overconfidence and workaholic. In a depressive phase, you suffer chronic depression. So basically, for 20 points, I'm somehow getting 3 disadvantages.
Yeah, but they're not always on.
But only getting 20 points for them. That's lame. When I could buy chronic depression alone for like 20 points.
Oh, chronic depression is 15 points.
Oh, it's only 15. I'm sorry. But also there's workaholic and overconfident.
Goodness. I'm not finding maybe I should look under the T's for transformation. Because I mean, they have to have like rules for turning into werewolves and stuff, right?
Yeah. It's usually just a not always on thing.
It's made of parts, just like everything else. You're never going to find like lycanthropy in here.
Exactly.
Instead, you're going to find
but they do have lunacy, which is affected by the moon.
Yes. But that would just be like, oh, that's one part of the giant package of being a werewolf.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You're really going to want to head to that 256 page and take a look at how powers are built. Or it's not 256. It's 260 something. I'm looking at the ratio. Or meta traits. Here we go. Starting around page 262.
Oh, here it is. Shape-shifting.
Yeah.
Oh, you could do it's 10 seconds of concentration. That seems kind of low for a magical girl transformation sequence.
Yeah, but that's also 10 rounds because every round is a second.
Oh, why?
Yeah. So
because more granular means more realistic.
Which means more fun.
How many attacks do I get per round?
Oh, there's a section down here for being a 1. You get one attack per round.
Unless you
there's an extra attack
have the
power.
extra attack ability.
Which is super expensive because going from 1 to 2 is huge.
Yeah.
There's one down here for being a vampire. It's a 150 point baseline to make your character a vampire.
Wow.
That gives you a sense. And it's like, remember when I was reading the Body of Fire thing? It was like a third the size of this to become a vampire. So that's what it's going to be like to make yourself a werewolf.
Well, yeah, but that's also including stuff like, doesn't age and has a weird bite and stuff.
Dependency, coffin with soil of homeland, daily, -60.
I'm rethinking the magical girl thing a little bit.
Yeah, so here's the thing is that I think that you should listen because remember in Marvel Superheroes where everybody said that you didn't want to make the kind of character that you were making and then you were like, no, I can do it anyway. And then you didn't listen to everybody and then you hated it the whole time and maybe this time is the time that you should listen.
Was that when we did the Sentinels and there's that one character class that basically is you morph from one thing to another and you're like, oh, perfect, I can make a magical girl. And we were like, no, because your form when you're not a magical girl is not relevant to the game, so you don't need it.
Ryan made... Because you were the costume ranger.
Yeah.
So you made like 6 different characters.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was fine when it got translated to Sentinel Comics.
Well, many things are, Ryan.
It's true. But I mean, if I can get a hand around what it means to shapeshift, that's like a majority of it.
Let's see. I don't think status matters. Rank doesn't matter. Privilege.
See,
well, they're all just things that combine the advantages.
There should be so many more disadvantages involved in this manic depressive thing. So, like, I feel like it would be better for me to just take all of them.
All right,
but
great.
then
Now
I can't turn on and off.
Yeah, then you're all of them all the time.
Right. But, like, why is impulsiveness not part of the mania? That's, like, the main thing that mania is. It's not overconfident workaholic. It's impulsive.
Yeah, I think that goes into the overconfident part.
Maybe they overlap. But like, what about Insomniac?
I think when they design manic depressive, they use the manic section to describe what cocaine does and not what bipolar disorder does.
You don't need to be, in one swing or the other for insomnia. Insomnia is for everyone, and you can just take that.
True.
All right, so let's just go down the list and write down every one of these I need, and then we'll go figure them out from there.
I'm going to do that. 10 or 15 points.
Okay, so alternative form. You create your own alternative form as a racial template on page 260, like you said. However, you can switch it on and off. This template need not be a stock template. Okay. Oh, good Lord. Okay. I'm afraid to go to page 260.
Man, I have just created the most annoying thing in the world. And it's wonderful.
Okay, so these racial templates give me like for felinoid, it's 35 points. It costs 35 points to do the racial template felinoid with all the pluses and minuses that it give you. So it says like your strength -1, that gives you 10 points. But then you add 1 to your dex and that gives you, or that spends 20 of your points. So is that how I'm reading it correctly?
Sounds right.
So,
okay.
Yeah, any of the packages, when they say how many points they are, it just adds up all the pluses and minuses from the package and tells you, all right, that's the total.
Okay, so what I'm getting here is I'm a normal human.
Mm-hmm.
And when I activate my alternate form, that becomes the magical girl that has access to all of the stuff.
Yeah, so you would say like, oh, in the package that I'm doing for my alternate form, you can have things like, oh, it has an innate attack of like a light beam, and it has, enhanced dexterity and whatever you want to put in there. And then you just say, okay, when I turn forms, I just apply that as now what I have.
Yeah. Okay.
How do you determine your self-control number? Where is that?
Self-control number?
Oh, yeah. Don't worry. Your mental health disadvantages definitely key off of your self-control, Ryan.
Oh. If you just try harder.
Yeah.
You don't have to deal with all those mental health issues. Is that what that's saying?
Yeah. That's exactly what it's saying, Ryan.
Oh, Lordy.
For sure.
So if I reduce my dexterity of my normal form by 3 points, that will give me 60 points
So
that I can throw wherever, right?
Yeah. So if you say like, I'm going to take, your base 10, if you go to 7, that would give you those 60 points.
Yeah. So then I can take those 60 points and push them to like +3 dex in this other form.
And then that would make you a regular 10
out.
dex.
So now, oh,
yeah, because your dex
because
would
you're
be based
applying
on
the
your
template to what you already are.
Yeah.
Oh, gross.
Yes.
I mean, otherwise everyone would set all their stats to 1 and their other stats to 1 plus whatever month they pulled out.
Exactly. And then you just go, great, and I never go out of this form.
Yeah.
I know. I guess that makes sense. And what's the point then?
You can spend them somewhere else if you think your character should be not especially dexterous, be kind of a clumsy type, but you want the extra 60 points to invest in psychic powers or something.
I get you. It's so weird. Okay. I'm starting to kind of get a handle of it a little bit. I know Amelia's like diving headfirst into this like disadvantages mental health stuff right now.
I was gonna say, yeah. I think she's just building a mental health test.
Yep. Get your
I said I was making myself, okay? You may attempt to control your urges. Oh, gosh, my urge to be depressed, but I can fight it.
Yeah, my urges to stay in bed and not get out of it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I can fight that. Sometimes.
Yeah, what was the one? There was one part of this that, like, the chronic depression one. Make a self-control roll to do anything but acquire and consume the minimum necessities for survival. For instance, to motivate yourself to go to a movie, attempt a job interview, or keep a date. And I was like, no, you definitely have to spend self-control also to do the minimum things like eating or showering. Like, those are the hardest ones. Pretty sure you should have to spend points on that.
I mean, it does say that usually it means staying put and doing nothing.
That's true. That it does.
Why can't they use English in these descriptions?
Because math is easier.
Oh, Lord.
This wasn't written in English. It was written in GURPS.
It was written in math. Like math, it's math problems. It's like literally the like story problems that you have to do to decipher what they're asking for. If you have a single alternate form, it costs 15 points for a racial template worth no more than your native racial template. A more powerful form costs 15 points plus 90% of the difference in cost between your native template and that of your alternate form. I don't know what any of those words mean when you put them together like that.
I know you were saying words, but honestly, they just sort of hit my eardrums and went, nah, I'm good.
I feel the same way about this one right now. Like, an asterisk indicates, well, if an asterisk appears next to the point cost of any disadvantage, that offers a chance to resist. For each disadvantage like this, you must choose a self-control number. The number you must roll on 3 dice to avoid giving in. This modifies the point values as follows. You resist quite rarely. Is 2 times the listed cost. Does that mean that the listed, like, I can change the cost by saying that I'm really bad at being bipolar?
No.
You resist quite rarely.
Being bad at something would generally be like skills, I would assume.
But you have to, like, pick this, like, self-control number. The number you must roll to avoid giving in. This modifies the point value as follows. Oh, the default self-control number is 12. You must roll 12 or less.
Oh, good Lord. So I have to make a magical girl racial template, just the template, like you get +6 strength and +6 dex, and, you know, your IQ and your health remain the same or whatever, right? And here's all your advantages and disadvantages and modifiers for this template. And then, and only then, can I purchase the alternate form for that template by paying 15 of my points plus 90% of the template's points. So if it turns out that this magical girl racial template is 300 points, for instance, now I'm paying 15 points plus 90% of 300.
Yes.
So 270 plus 15.
Yeah.
Which would be 285. So I'm spending less points.
Net benefit for having it be in another form.
So I'm really not doing a 1-for-1 swap, right? I'm doing a 90% plus 15. And I guess the more powerful the alternate form, the more you save?
Basically.
Okay. All right. Sure.
This modifies the point values. The point value of what? 2 times the listed cost. So it is about the cost of the thing. Okay.
Disadvantages. These should be really easy.
2 times. Okay. You know what? That's fine. Just gonna pick
I
the
love
average, right?
just another example of the skills in this, that there's both pickpocket and filch as 2 different skills, and sleight of hand. So if you want to steal something that someone has, then that's a pickpocket. But if you want to hide something you've got, that's sleight of hand. But if you want to steal something that's not on a person, but you don't want people to see that you stole it, that's filch. You need to pay for these.
You could also just take the disadvantage, kleptomaniac.
But filch defaults to pickpocket -4. So if you have the pickpocket skill, you can filch at a -4 to your pickpocket skill.
All right. So now I'm creating a racial template for magical girls.
You're doing so much more work than you need to do, and it's great. Like, you just picked the hardest thing to do.
Why is shapeshifting the hardest thing to do in old games?
Because the second they're like, oh, I have another form and it's good, they're like, oh no, that you can't be good in different ways.
Apparently
I also
you can.
enjoy that there is a hobby skill in case you have a hobby that you do. But then anything that has a skill is not considered a hobby. So playing a game is not a hobby. And sewing can't be your hobby. And playing sports can't be a hobby. And I just love that they have a hobby skill, but so many things cannot be considered hobbies because they are already skills that they have put in other things.
I see where the spreadsheets come into play, honestly.
Yeah. If you try and do anything remotely complicated, you have to be tracking so many things.
Good Lord. I need to open a spreadsheet for this. I didn't want to, but I'm like doing all the calculations on Notepad++, and that's not a spreadsheet. What are we doing here?
Ooh, I definitely think I'm gonna get close to the point limit that I set for myself, which is very high.
I'm like not even close to figuring this out. I feel like I haven't like looked at skills yet. Oh my god, die. Hemophilia, because that's a thing that comes up often
in a heavy combat game.
Oh, I am taking enumerate though. Little or no grasp of mathematics.
Ooh, I can take a skill in NBC suit in case I want to sue NBC.
Please do it.
Man, the way these are lined up in the list of skills, I combined the two and it was like net observation. I was like, ooh, I can observe nets. Oh, no, wait, that's 2 different skills. That's net and observation.
Why would that be beneficial?
You know, in case I'm a fisherman out for a pleasure cruise in eel-infested waters.
I guess I'm fairly lucky in that it feels like the vast majority of the enhancement modifiers don't really apply to any of the abilities I'm trying to take. We'll see if the limitations will work better. Largely because this character is fairly straightforward. I'm not trying to build anything super complicated, just super powerful.
Yeah.
And only in a very specific sense.
Yeah. I mean, he definitely has psychic powers, so you need to have telepathy in there.
A lot of them are either mind control or telepathy or various types of persuasion powers, yes.
I mean, he's got to have a bunch of points in psychology.
I've started on skills. That's going to be a whole thing.
I'm not even thinking about skills at this point. Because you can apply skills to a racial template, right?
Well, of course. Well, wait.
Probably.
Let me check page 260. Why am I asking questions?
Look, the answer is if you want. If you want it to apply, go for it. GURPS ain't going to stop you.
So I'm seeing for a dragon, attribute modifiers, secondary characteristic modifiers, advantages, disadvantages. I'm seeing features is another thing that's in there. Attribute modifiers, secondary characteristic modifiers, advantages, disadvantages, and features. Yeah, that's it. Not skills. That's not too bad.
Yeah, because basically you take your skills between your two forms.
Yeah, this is unnecessarily complicated.
Now
yeah, but you can use it to make anything.
You can, I guess.
Anything. Or you could use a much simpler game to make anything. God, I hate the skills that key off substats instead of just stats.
Yep. Hey, but that's the great thing about this little handy dandy character builder you found.
I know. I just still think it's awful.
I don't like that it doesn't have the things like I still have to look them all up in the book. I can't just pick.
Okay, so right off the bat, I'm at 400 points for this magical girl. And I just did attributes.
Uh-huh.
Good Lord.
That's terrible.
I think you may be trying to build towards a level of competence that is equivalent to a modern character design paradigm, where in this game it's sort of assumed that an average person will have stats of 10 in everything, which gives them a slightly below average chance to succeed
basically
at most skills.
50-50.
Yeah. Where in this game, something like a 15 or something is absurdly high.
Okay.
So
if you've got anything over
absurdly high.
Yeah, if you've got something over a 14, they're like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That should be a character defining trait.
Okay, I'll reduce that a little bit.
I put my really high thing as a 12.
That being said, my character does have a strength of 18 and a health of 18.
Oh. See, I did plus 10 for all strength, dex, and health.
Oh, that is a lot.
As a magical girl, right? But at my base for those is 7 because
like I said, I think you're assuming baseline modern game competence. You shouldn't. You should assume you are a dummy and you should feel bad for wanting to play this game. Levels of design.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, think about it like this.
I'll tone it down a little bit.
Because a 17 or an 18 automatically fails, having anything above a 16 is like, oh, this is essentially just future-proofing in case something gives me a penalty, because it won't matter because I'm going to roll under. Plus, skills are whatever that stat is plus your skill in it. So if you're like, I've got a dexterity of 16, then if you just go, all right, well, I take a skill, you don't put any points in it, so you're saving on skills because you don't need to do anything with them because you've already got a high base stat.
Sort of.
Right.
Because ultimately the way skills work is you have to spend a point value to get them at just your stat range. Like if you have a dex of 17 and you want sword, then you do have to spend points to get that, or else you're dealing with what's called the default value. Or defaults.
The point and it goes to your... Well, it depends on if it's an easy, average, or hard. If it's easy, you spend 1 point and you have it at what your stat is.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And if you don't spend 1 point, then instead of swinging at dex, you're swinging at like dex -5 or something.
Well, yeah, because everything has a default if you don't have the skill.
Yes.
I'm saying if you do get skills, you don't have to spend as much on them to make them good if your stat is high, because it will just go, oh, I have a dex of 15. If I get this skill, I don't need to put points into it.
I mean,
I'm 400 good at it.
400 at just attributes sounds incredibly hard. You know, they all max out at 20, right?
They do.
Except for strength, yes. But I guess you're probably also spending when you're talking attributes, you're probably also talking stuff like perception and health or hit points and so on that you can also spend points on. All right, let's see. What else is this fella good at? Well, climbing, obviously.
Obviously. All right, I've spent 426 points on this character, and I might be done.
What do you think? What skill do you think being able to use a tape machine to erase old VHS tapes? Is that computer hacking or computer operations? Or
I mean, none of that is computers.
Yeah, I know.
Electronics.
It's probably electronics repair or engineering or electronics operation. That sounds right.
There you go.
Yep. Okay. That's the most technological thing I've ever seen him do. So.
Yep. Normally it's just ropes and stuff.
Yeah. I did take the disadvantage at -5 for one less tech level than the real world. Also, he already exists in a tech level 7 world because it's the 70s, and so digital doesn't really describe it yet. Yeah.
Also, what would you say the tech level of Final Fantasy 14 is? Like a 6?
They have guns, so they have guns and compute. I mean,
they don't really have computers. The Allegan Empire had computers.
Okay, so the Allegan Empire had a higher
Allegan Empire
level.
Was like tech level 8 or 9.
Yeah, they had anti-grav, so they were at least 9 or 10. The problem is it's hard to say because tech level unfortunately doesn't properly ascribe to things like magical capability.
Exactly.
Like they don't have
on a baseline tech level if you had no magic.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is it's probably
I'm
6.
guessing tech level 6.
Yeah, 6. But assuming the magic gives them things like walkie-talkies and stuff that tech level 6 would not have.
Yeah, because they have like magic link pearls.
Exactly. So it's tricky.
Yeah. I'm gonna call it 6 and have it be 5.
You're making a Final Fantasy 14 character?
Making a Final Fantasy 14 monster.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's all right. I'm making a character from an old TV show. Everything's
going to happen here? It's going to be the
real shenanigans.
Real shit. This is going to be the most wild group probably ever on the show.
Oh yeah, they fight crime, or not. In my case,
gently rescue children from crime.
Yeah.
I consume children after crimes.
So I'm curious. Okay, so I don't have to worry about the always on thing from what I'm understanding, because that's built into the 90%, or not the always on, the alternate form of these things.
Yeah. So
because
you've already
that's built
paid
into
for
the
that.
90%.
Yeah, that's part of the shape-shifting thing. You paid 15 points, and that's what is going into that alternate form.
So I just have to stack in normal, and then that's 90%, and I'm good.
Yeah.
That's easy. Okay.
I don't know what you're saying.
You just...
But it's probably wrong because it's too easy.
No, because the modifier is the accessibility limitation, right? The variable amount of accessibility, and in alternate body form gives you a 10%. That's a 10% reduction in the cost of the abilities and everything, right?
Wait,
sure, why not?
Why would it be cheap? Is it 10% cheaper because? Is it 10% cheaper because
you
only
can
available
only
in one
use
form?
it in that form?
Yeah, you have to transform in order to get it, and that's why the template you apply in your other form is you pay 15 and then you buy all of those and then 90% less for that template.
Right. 10% is so mean though, because some of these powers and so on cost like 5 or whatever. So they're going to round right back up to what they had been.
Well, you take the whole template and
the
then
whole
9%.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I don't understand skills.
Okay. So skills are terrible. Now, you
I just
have...
don't understand this, like IQ -6.
Okay,
IQ
that stuff is called default.
hard finance 4.
You go ahead. I'm gonna keep building.
Okay.
So the way skills work is every skill has a couple things, and mostly what you need to worry about is it will give you a stat / what type. So like easy, average, hard, and so on.
Okay.
So there is a chart for how much you need to pay on page 170.
Yeah, I don't understand that chart.
So on page 170, there is the skill cost table.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at that, let's say I have an easy skill I want to get based on dexterity.
Okay.
If my dexterity is 12, for an easy skill, if I spend 1 point, I get attribute plus 0, so I just have that skill at a 12.
What?
Because my dexterity is 12,
Okay.
and it's an easy skill, so you just take that attribute, and at plus 0, it's just base. And then as you go down, those are not additive, so going from attribute 0 to attribute plus 1 is not 3 points, it's the 2 points that it says. So it'll tell you how much to buy to that level.
Okay.
But for harder skills, the baseline purchase level starts at a negative to your stat because they're difficult to do.
What?
So if you're at a very hard skill, you need to pay 8 points just to be able to do it at the same level of whatever stat it's based on.
So it doesn't matter what my current attribute is. Like,
It very much does, because that's what
So,
it's based
okay.
on.
Boy, is that tell me something's based on from some martial arts book without telling me. Flying leap, the skill, is IQ powered.
Great.
Because it's supposed to be ki derived. And it is exactly what it sounds like, though. It's a long jump, but it's entirely powered by your IQ.
Welcome to it.
I love it. Given that my character has a ridiculously high IQ, obviously.
Yeah, well, you can jump.
Yeah, of course, I have to be able to jump. Yes, he does at least one cool stunt jump every episode.
At least.
Sometimes out of an airplane.
So the other stuff that you see on skills, outside of just the stat / how difficult it is basically if you don't have that skill and you still want to roll it, what would you roll it at?
I see.
So if I wanted to do some accounting and I don't have the accounting skill, I would default to my IQ -6 or the finance skill -4 and so on, because that's what they can default to.
Okay, so if like my stat is at 10, right, and it's like hard.
Yeah.
How do I figure that out?
So you look at
Is
the
that
skill
4?
cost table for hard, and then whatever level you want it at, pay that much points. So if you wanted it to be like, I'm sort of got a 50-50 shot under pressure of doing something, and you wanted to keep it at 10, because that's what your attribute is, you'd pay 4 points, get you at attribute plus 0 under hard.
Okay.
Oh, I gotta go to page 153 for secret identity.
Secret identity.
Stack them to the heavens.
Oh, it's
I'm
a
gonna get the skill
disadvantage to have a
rope up.
secret identity.
Yeah, because you gotta, protect your secret identity.
Ryan thought something would be an advantage to a player
I
in
guess.
this economy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I started building this, and I realized along the way that I was actually just making something that already exists. And I was going to give it an even weirder version of it, but I decided to scale it back and just do a standard version.
I'm trying to skip as many skills as I can that don't very specifically apply, and I'm still ending up with like 40 skills. That's not that bad.
Well, I mean,
I have to look for secrets to figure out my points that I get from secret identity.
yeah. And secret's right above secret identity.
And part of it is definitely that this has just got too many skills that are roughly the same thing, and I'm not noticing that as I'm going through.
Yeah.
Like another good example is enthrallment is one of the skills, and it's just get people to do what you want.
Yeah.
That's all. So you can use it for persuade or seduce or whatever, but don't worry. All of those are also skills, and also a bunch of stuff that I would say is just specialties of enthrallment. For example, panhandling gets like a page-long write-up, but it's just getting people to give you some money.
Yes.
It's an enthrallment. It should be anyway.
But enthrallment is based on you performing and people being enthralled with what you're doing.
And I would say panhandling is in and of itself a sense of a type of performance.
Well, I would say busking is a type of performance.
Those are pretty. I mean, those are almost synonyms, but not quite. I'll grant you that.
There you go.
But either way, they should
And
both
this is
function the
GURPS,
same.
so that matters.
Yeah.
Maybe they had the Life on the Street supplement where they needed panhandling and busking to be two different skills.
There's probably a few others as well. There's a whole thing on pigeon drops and stuff. Yeah.
Wow. So,
Because
How
blowpipe is
s-
not for being able to play the bagpipes.
good. Isn't that for shooting darts?
Yes.
Okay. So
Disappointment.
secret identity of a magical girl. If the secret were to come out, would it be serious embarrassment, utter rejection, imprisonment or exile or possible death.
I assume it would depend on the world of the magical girl, right? Like if it was
Right.
Magical girls have been outlawed, and only outlaws are magical girls.
like what would
Well, I'm
happen
thinking
in
if you're
Sailor Moon?
fighting-
Is it even a secret?
It is.
Okay, but what
Nobody
would happen
knows
if they-
except for the inner circle. Who
and what
Sailor
would happen?
Moon
Would
is.
they just get captured by the government and dissected or something?
Not the government, the enemy.
Okay.
The state of
The-
Missouri.
and when the secret did come out, the enemy did everything they could to destroy and
Yeah, so
do
pretty
whatever they need to
severe-
with.
Yeah.
Secret.
But meanwhile, in the webcomic Sleepless domain, all the magical girls are like the biggest celebrities in the city. And they get to go to a special school just for them. So it's already fully known information.
Right.
So it's anything you want. It's much like
Goodness.
GURPS.
Now, I do want to say,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have enthrallment as your character because it is based on public speaking, the skill.
Oh, that's right. I'd have to take public speaking and I can't talk. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I'll have to find another thing besides enthrallment to deal with it. At least that's one more skill I got to think about.
I mean, baby, you already have psychic powers.
What I'm going to do is apply psychic powers to the number, because psychics in this game, psionics in this game were just a template you apply to certain advantages. It was much simpler than the magic system. It took up all of like 2 pages.
Well, yeah, the magic system is just also skills.
Yeah. And the psychic system is just template writers attached to certain things. So
I went with imprisonment is the bad thing that'll happen. The bad guys will try to capture me
Okay.
if my
Makes sense.
secret were to be revealed. Not kill me because, we're PG-13.
Great.
Are we?
Maybe PG.
I think
Now,
I'll
how
have to
many
look it up,
points do I put into erotic art so that I'm good at banging?
well, is your character good at that?
I
If
mean,
you're a
aren't you
Final
making some sort of
Fantasy
horrifying monster?
14 monster,
it represents general knowledge of advanced sexual technique. So even if I'm bad at it, but I know how to do it, I'd be like,
Only
"Look,
an advisory role, strictly.
I'm doing the old like Dr. Ruth level, like, hey, I might not be banging right now, but I'll let you know how to bang it out.
wow.
Hey, and you get a +3 for flexibility or +5 for double jointed.
Amazing.
Erotic art. When I first saw that skill, when I was reading through this originally, I was like, do they have an entire skill for like furry artists? Is that what this is for?
Also, yes.
I can draw booba, but no.
Okay, there's the last of them. Here we go. Let's finish this off.
They got the binding ranged attack.
Yeah, that's for like Spider-Man webs and stuff.
Yeah.
I love making a monster in this because, baby, I got 5 skills.
Oh, I have so many skills.
I don't need to worry about, ooh, how do I deal with certain public situations? I'm like, I live in a swamp and I eat people. You don't understand. I don't need skills. I'm going
trying
full
to decide,
Shrek.
like how many skills. I mean, like if I'm making myself right now, I'm picking skills that are like these are things that I'm good at.
Yeah.
But,
Which is
like, everything
generally
else-
what you want. You want to be able to go like, all right, pick things that you know you can do.
Yeah.
But even then, the way that it works is you're like, oh, being good at a skill should still probably be no higher than like a 12. Because again, the whole like, oh, if you're doing it under normal circumstances and aren't being like, doing it under combat or weird stress, you're like, yeah, you'll have a +4, which puts you up to a 16 if you're a 12, which means you're already as good as you're going to get at it.
All right, let's go back up.
Okay,
to,
but I am writing down that I'm good at games.
heading all the way back up to the
But not-
Oh,
this
yeah.
section. Here we go.
Oh, if I was making me, I would put down that I'm good at games. But also, games is you have to pick a specific game that you're good at. You aren't just allowed to be good at games. You'd have to put like games parentheses chess.
There is a modifier you can apply to skills that makes you good at a broad range of things with that particular skill. It's I think it's in one of the subheader, like those little sections are
Well,
optional rules. And there's
there
one
is the wild card rule
There
for
it is.
skills where you can basically go, oh, if we want to do something more cinematic. So like if I'm a cinematic scientist, instead of having to buy every science skill, if you want to be like, yeah, I'm a standard sci-fi scientist where I know just as much about physics as I do chemistry and so on, you can just get science ! As a skill and it just covers science.
Okay, so I'm gonna put games : mind games. Really good at mind games.
I'm really good at playing the game The Mind.
mind gaming.
Actually, what if I just change it to like operation? Just really good at
$1,000 fee?
I'm not going to worry about a lot of the like effects.
I'm the doctor for
Ooh,
you.
hell yeah. How good at falconry do I need to be?
Medium.
Medium falconry? Okay.
Yeah.
Or I can default to my animal handling parentheses raptors at -3.
Oh, God. Why did I voluntarily take the ally skill?
Oops, you goofed.
It's so complicated.
You goofed. Don't do it.
Give me an example.
I just want have an ally that's permanent.
I was taking it. It's not, doesn't need to be permanent. It can be ally groups and they can be random
ally humans.
Yeah. Well, no, it's ally hobos and it's people who are non-individuals or they are individuals, but the ally does not describe individuals. It describes a group that you can recruit from.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great. Do it.
What a weird advantage. Destiny.
Oh, I took that one for sure.
It's like you give it a point value.
Yeah.
And then that's all you determine. And the GM's like, well, that's worth this sort of destiny. You just don't know it until you start playing.
Well, it's an advantage, so you know it's a good destiny.
Right. I guess they give some examples here. So like great advantage is 15 points. Major is 10 points. Minor is 5.
Yeah.
Okay, now that I'm getting kind of the hang of this is kind of fun.
Mind your own business. This is not just.
How dare you?
I started with advantages, not disadvantages and skills. So I haven't got into the like not so fun part.
You haven't even done skills yet?
I haven't even like thought of skills yet.
I spent 362 points on advantages, and I'll never look back.
Just kind of scrolling through skills and being like, I can do that, but
Sure, I could do that. Well, that's what a lot of the like defaults to whatever things are there for, where you're like, yeah, I could technically do that. And they're like, yeah, anyone could technically do that. It's just not as good as someone who's trained in it.
Hey, why does this skill key off perception?
Because some of them key off perception or will, because this game is bad.
I don't know what my perception is.
Are you using the character builder?
No.
You should.
No, because I can't. I don't want to sit there and like type everything in.
Huh?
I have the book and the character sheet and because it doesn't seem to keep track of things. Oh, I guess it does. Total points. Suppose
Extra
I should.
arms. That's fun.
Okay, so it says my perception is 12.
Ooh, you got a way better perception than me.
Was it just based off of your like intelligence and your something else? What is perception even based off of?
All right. So for claim to hospitality, which is my ability to basically request succor and aid in need from like they have to provide me with a place to stay and so on.
Yeah.
It's 1 point if it's a friend who lives in a city, all the way up to 10 points if you can basically just be like biblical or like Odin or whatever and wander the world as an old man and demand housing anywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go with 5 points and say it's any person or family who is in need.
Sure.
You think that's fair?
Sure.
Because they have to give me a name and a house or a place to stay.
Okay. Perception is just your IQ, but you can increase it or decrease it.
All right. Dog claws. Very short claws add +1 per die to the damage. That only costs 3 points.
I'm only in the G's, by the way, on advantages.
Are you looking at the list or are you reading each one individually?
I'm going through and reading the individual names of things, and I'm not caring about points. I'm getting the thematic stuff into it, right? I'm just dumping all the thematic magical girl stuff into it and seeing what sticks.
Sure.
Digital mind. Great. That one can come out. I don't feel like I need it, and that'll save me some time.
This is so slow.
And that is not what I thought either. Enhanced tracking has nothing to do with tracking people, like following them, and everything to do with like pickling them with a sniper rifle sight.
Oh.
Yeah, you are tracking them.
Yeah, tracking their movement with a ranged weapon.
Yeah.
Oh.
The tracking skill is just about VHS? Wait a minute, hold on.
All right, and I can get rid of extended lifespan because unaging is more correct.
Indeed.
What's TL? High TL?
Tech level.
Oh, okay.
So if you're like, I've got more tech than is standard for this timeline or whatever you're at.
It costs 5 points to have 4 legs. Oh, but I can cut that to 3 if I say I can't use them for special super kicks.
No special super kicks for me.
He doesn't have dangerous kicks. That's fine.
But does he have sweet kicks?
He has the sweet science.
Oh, you can create an unliving injury tolerance.
Yep.
Yeah, so you can be Mumra, the ever-living.
I could be an undead magical girl.
You could be a
Take this from me,
necromancer
Ryan.
and a magical girl.
I'm a necromancer. Hey, I saw it in there. Where'd it go? That's probably listed in their talents.
Remember, in GURPS, the only limits are your imagination and patience.
That's fair.
Where's this disadvantage? Again, I need to look this up.
Oh, this is totally different than what I thought it was. Jumper.
Yeah.
First
You're-
sentence. You
you're
can
like a
travel
leaper.
through time or parallel worlds.
You're like the
Ba-
movie Jumper.
Right. I can't jump real high, but I can sure go through dimensions.
Yeah, if you want to jump high, you get the skill high jump.
Lord,
Anything is possible at ZomboCon.
there's legal immunity.
Diplomatic immunity.
I don't want to get into majory. That looks weird.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not casting spells like discrete spells,
Mm-hmm.
then you don't need to get into majory.
Nope.
Because I would figure mostly you would just be looking at innate attack. That would be like, oh, if you want to do like, your moon beam or whatever, you're like, all right, that's just an innate attack that I can do.
Mm-hmm.
I need to buy a bunch of advantages is what I'm learning because I'm really overdoing this whole skills thing and my total points that I've spent so far is 3.
You've only spent 3 points?
Well, yeah, because I haven't put in any advantages or anything yet. I
That
only
makes
have
sense.
so far I only have disadvantage.
There's a lot of advantages that are just like super power advantages.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that you just don't take if you're not making a super powered person.
Yeah, I mean, I have an advantage that cost me 150 points just for one of them, so.
Yeah, see, what I might need is just more skills, but that's not interesting to me.
But that sucks.
That sounds like a lot of scrolling.
Mm-hmm.
How much legal immunity do you think I'm entitled to, John?
You have none. You have no legal immunity.
I'm certainly immune to a vast diaspora of human laws.
I mean, are you though?
I simply don't apply.
I think I don't know that that's accurate because I think you still get in trouble.
Yeah, but I don't think I go to court. I mean, that's legal immunity, not like moral immunity.
But I think it would be legal immunity for your species is the big thing. So all the time where they talk about like, oh, if you're ugly, you're like, oh no, you're ugly for your species.
I guess that's fair.
So
It
if
just
you
says-
don't have legal immunity for your species, you can still go to a pound.
I guess that's fair. Yeah, it does say you are exempt from some or all of the laws of your society.
Exactly.
And you're right. I'm not technically exempt. It's just that they don't specifically apply.
Exactly.
Okay, I can pull that out. Not have to worry about it then.
So I'm going to do an innate attack that does fatigue damage,
Okay.
I guess. 10 points per level. It's a non-lethal ranged attack. That seems very on par with magical girls.
Just do a draining attack that leaves you weakened.
Yeah, and then you can apprehend them or stop them or
Yeah.
I don't know. Is there like a cleansing ability? I don't know. Neutralize. Gets rid of psionic powers, I guess. Oh, it could be magical or high-tech way to drain psi abilities. Okay, I guess it's all about psi ability neutralization.
That skill is meditation, not medication.
Hmm.
I'm so good at taking meds. I know all the names and doses. I'm also good at pronouncing weird drug names because that's a thing that I have to do in my job.
Mm-hmm.
There's unaging.
Staff is not for being able to go to staff meetings. It is, in fact, for pole arms.
It is. In fact,
Really
for
disappointing.
staves.
Oh, I need more skills. These are all dumb. Prospecting.
What is like the hit point pool generally around in GURPS?
Probably.
Well, I mean, your hit points.
Like if I'm recovering 1 hit point an hour, is that really good? Or like,
I mean, compared to a normal person, yes.
Okay, right. So,
because like a normal person gets a check once per day to see if they get 1 hit point back.
Oh, so that's 24 times better at least than a normal person.
Yeah. So a normal person at the end of a like period of rest will, for a day, be able to make a health check. And if they make it, they'll get a hit point back. If you heal quickly from the like rapid recovery advantage, then you'd be like, ooh, you get 2 hit points back on that check. So,
Ooh.
Yeah, normal people do not recover hit points quickly.
I just found something fun to talk about later.
All right, so I've got regular regeneration for 25 points. I'm still under 500 points as a total. I'm doing good.
But you have no skills.
Skills. Okay, I'm almost done with this list of advantages, so.
I mean, I have only 5 skills because I'm a monster. That's still 84 points that I spent on skills.
And I could enhance or give limitations to any of these, right?
Yeah. So if you wanted to be like, oh, I've got regeneration, but I can't regenerate from like attacks based on, whatever. And then that would give you a percentage discount based on how common is that thing to actually show up. So if you're like, oh, if something's made of wood, I can't regenerate if I take damage from it. That's common. So that'll be a fairly hefty discount. But if you're like, I don't regenerate if someone hits me with a plasma sword, you're like, all right, well, that doesn't matter.
It's interesting. So Snatcher, like you were talking about before, grants you the ability to grab any small item from an alternate world.
Yeah, you just get hammer space ability.
Which feels like Miraculous Ladybug a little bit. She just gets random powers every time.
Well, hers is more
random
recognizing
items.
ways to use things in the environment rather than getting things from outside of it.
Well, that's in addition to, right? Because like she creates this random object and then it's like, oh, well, how am I supposed to use this? I know it's going to work.
This is going to be a thing I need. This is a secret tool that will help us later.
Yeah, literally the thing from the Mickey Mouse Club.
Yeah.
Oh, right. And the enemy, obviously. Just tell me how many points for an example one so I can build from there. Thank you.
Well, that says breath control. I read that as birth control, and I was like, that's a weird skill.
What's weird is it's right before breath play.
Ooh. If I am giving myself skills to make myself, can I give myself sex appeal?
You can do whatever you want. No one can stop you. Who can stop me now?
I probably should look at some advantages first, though, because right now I don't have any of those.
Let's see.
But I did give myself a ton of ability to know everything that there is to know about L5R. So that was an important chunk of points that I spent.
Why am I doing this in a spreadsheet? This is ridiculous.
My disadvantages are super easy, actually.
I haven't even got into disadvantages yet. Oh, here's super jump.
Yeah. Keep in mind, it's different from flying leap.
Oh, Lord.
Well, yeah, flying leap is a skill, and super jump is an advantage. So you could super jump into a flying leap if you wanted to.
That's true. There's luck and super luck.
Yes.
Oh, Lord.
And then luck has different levels of how lucky you are.
And where's that skill cost?
Let's see what happens here.
I love the idea of super luck, because super luck is just like once per game session, you just decide what the roll was.
Mm-hmm.
And that's awesome. Just being able to be like, no, that was a 3. I super succeeded on that. I don't care.
Teeth.
Yeah, in case you have teeth, that can do things.
It costs 0 points for teeth.
Yeah. People got teeth. You don't need to pay for teeth.
I had to pay special for teeth.
If you got good teeth.
I got magic teeth.
I mean, obviously, I had to pay for teeth. I'm a big monster.
Yeah.
Where's the animal companion, the magical animal companion?
That would be an
advantages?
ally
Yep.
that you would then build.
Good Lord, never
You had to build a
mind.
whole extra character.
I am
Don't do it.
one magical girl that does not have a magical companion.
That you
Because
can just
time-
say you do.
Wait, no, you
just
can-
don't
there's a-
make it an ally.
Isn't that actually very
Talent.
common? And it's just that the main character, magical girl, always is a magical companion. I don't see anyone hanging around Sailor Mars.
Yeah,
Okay,
just
wait,
Sailor Venus.
There's a talent on page 89 called Animal Friend. Does that do?
That is your ability to befriend an animal.
Well, there you go. Just take that and call it the same thing.
But that's befriending a normal animal. I want a magical companion.
Yeah, like main character magical girls always have like a little clone of themselves and a cat and a dog and a bird. And then all of their friends have like nothing.
Yeah,
Yes,
all of the friends
very
have
independent.
the main character's magical pet.
Yeah.
Although in Miraculous, every single magical girl has their own magical companion associated with the thing that lets them transform. So,
Well, yeah.
I mean, it's variable from nothing to everybody gets one.
But I think
I don't watch
in
that show on principle.
I wouldn't make it probably cost points because it's not like they do anything really. They just sort of are there and are the way you get your power.
If anything, they'd be a disadvantage because I assume they can get like kicked or something, right? Like someone could kick her in the ladybug and she would suffer to be distraught as a result of that. So they could potentially be a disadvantage. They're a new point of weakness.
That's true. But I would say it would balance out.
Yeah. I don't watch that show on principle because my daughter loves ladybugs and I can't search for ladybugs without finding a ton of deeply fetishy art of those characters.
Oh no! Oh no!
So, yeah.
they're in high school. That's not.
I
good.
know.
Yeah, that never stopped
doesn't
the
matter.
internet. What are you talking
Yeah.
about?
I just want
That's
the actual
total-
bugs because my kid likes bugs.
Yeah.
Oh, I scrolled up on the wrong thing. Okay,
Oh,
here we go.
no.
No, I didn't. I was trying to figure out what my perception score
Man, I've
was.
been done for so long. This is great.
I'm nearly there. I'm just calculating the point costs of everything, and then I'm going to run through with a calculator, and I'll be done.
I still have to get to disadvantages and skills.
Ryan,
I'm almost done.
almost done, and you haven't even gotten to skills yet.
Yeah. Voice.
DXH.
I'm on the
You say
V's.
so.
It's okay.
15.
Now I'm on W's. See, I'm making progress as we speak.
I can take that at 0 cost for 4. Oh, don't do that.
Dominance. Nope.
Well, those are really expensive. I'm gonna have to take a lot of disadvantages to be able to afford this, but I think it'll be fine.
Is that being
Right.
weighed in tons? How big are these guys? There's no way.
Okay. So my magical girl is currently worth 650 points.
That's a lot of points.
It is a lot of points, but it's 90% of 650 plus 15 to buy it, which puts me at currently 505 points, but I haven't done disadvantages or skills yet.
Well, skills are expensive, so
Oh boy.
I'm still not
Why
sure
are
it works.
skills expensive.
I'm still not quite sure it works that way because I mean, I guess it's supposed to be cheaper because you have to change into the form, but there has to be some kind of limitation associated with it to stop you from constantly just being in that form. Like, I'm not saying that it's a bad design. What I'm saying is that this game is a bad design and it would punish you for that, to find a way
Yeah.
to just get a 10% cost reduction across the board forever.
Well, at that point, you have to be like, all right, my alternate form, one, has to be approved by a GM, because
Yeah.
that's what most of the limitations on here are doing. Or they're like, oh, you can't take that, like, I have problems with being in space if you're doing a fantasy campaign as
Yeah.
a disadvantage, because they're like, yeah, obviously that's not going to matter. So it would be like, oh, if you're making a template, the GM would have to look at it and go, yeah, that's fine. Plus, you have to spend over 150 points on it to even break even on the 15-point cost to get the
Yeah.
template.
Right.
And if you're playing a 200-point game and you're like, I spent 200 points on this template, you're like, great, your character does nothing.
Yeah. It's yeah. You could always do always on for the alternate form as well and get an extra 10% off.
See, that's what's getting me is that there's got to, yeah. it shouldn't be an extra 10% off if all it's doing is changing your point. Because then what's stopping everyone from doing that and just getting 20% extra points by saying, oh, I'm always in my alternate form and I can't turn it off?
Well, because then you can never go back to your regular form.
So what's the big difference?
Well, your regular form is who you really are, isn't it?
I mean, I feel like that's entirely a role-playing game distinction.
I would feel bad being stuck in this form where I'm super powerful forever. How could I ever lead a normal life?
See, I feel like that's entirely a role-playing game distinction because you wouldn't need to build a magical girl. Like, I mean, to pull the thing, the blinders off, I'm making a dog. And if I were to say, oh, this character is not a dog, he was a pig that was magically transformed into a dog, and he has all the powers of a really cool dog, but because he used to be a pig, all of his abilities are 20% cheaper.
Right. I mean, he'll never be a pig again.
Yeah, but I wouldn't care.
Yeah, you would as a character, but not as a...
Oh, no.
I'm the kind of person who should normally be kept away from GURPS.
Yes, if you're min-maxing this and you don't care about the actual narrative consequences of your decisions, you could absolutely game this system to be like, yeah, sure, my character is stuck in this alternate form forever and they're more powerful than they would have been otherwise, and too bad, so sad. That's just the way it is. And oh no, they're never going to go back to their normal life. But like, you know.
I mean, like, think about the current MCU interpretation of the Hulk, where he's like happy that way and he doesn't want to go back to being Banner, but he has all the benefits and he's just as smart. He is still not in his natural form. He is Hulk and not Banner, but he's better. Like, everything he has is an advantage
in that particular setting. But if he went somewhere else,
no, I mean, I guess that's. Here's where I'm coming from. This game
does not reward players.
Is inclined in general to think the way I think, which is to say, the mean min-max, how dare you try to have fun with this kind of way. Like, right. The only reason I'm not messing with it in an extreme way to give myself 1 million extra points and build a laser that destroys the universe or whatever is I find the entire game distasteful and don't want to.
So maybe I'll get rid of supernatural durability. That was 150 points for that ability. That seems too much.
I get it. You're making a superhero. The character's going to end up quite powerful.
Yeah. All right.
I did it. Exactly 100 points.
What?
Does it mean that I spent my last one singular point on temperature tolerance and claimed it's because I'm from the Midwest? Yes, I did.
Amazing.
So
That's perfect.
I have a slightly wider range of tolerable temperatures.
All right. So I have to have enemies, right? Being in the magical girl state, you have enemies, right?
Oh, yeah. Obviously, you would have a big enemy disadvantage.
I feel like I skipped over whole categories here. Languages. Do I have to pay to speak English?
No. Everyone gets culture familiarity with their native culture and language of their native language. So that one is fine.
I guess maybe I should have spent some points to be able to kind of speak Spanish, but it's not really.
Would a horde of endless magical, like, monstrosities controlled by an ultimate villain that is bent on controlling or destroying the universe count as some other utterly formidable group for enemies?
So
I got this one, John. Probably.
Enemy can be a person or a group or an organization.
Yeah.
So if you want to say like, oh, it's whatever, the dark powers are against me, then that would just be an enemy group.
Right. But there's different levels of enemy. Like 5 points is like not a big deal. Like 10 points is kind of equal level as you, one-on-one. Like, oh, I've got an enemy that's equivalent to my power. That sucks. But like that enemy now has an army of things that they send at me all the time. And
I mean, I would probably, if we're talking like the standard, say, like, oh, there's one bad guy and he's got some minions.
Yeah.
Then I would probably put it at about a -30 if you want to say the person in charge is probably as powerful or more powerful than me, and then they've got some less powerful people that they are in charge of, but it's still a fairly small group. That would probably be about 30 points.
Okay. I want somebody that if I'm not there with my group, like the world would end.
Yeah. So if you wanted to say like, oh, there's just some superhuman individual that hates me, then that would probably be about 30 points.
Okay. So I guess I'm going to go 40 then.
That's another one where my modern RPG design sensibilities are like, that shouldn't be a disadvantage. You're going to fight bad guys every session anyway. You're just getting to choose which ones they are.
I know, right?
It's entirely an advantage. You're just buying the spotlight.
Uh-huh.
Which feels like the rest of us should get points back for that then.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. This person's going to take up a bunch of our RP time with their dumb disadvantage that they got points for.
Yeah, exactly. Right. In a modern game, choosing what enemies you fight constantly should entirely be an advantage. And I'm saying that as someone who also took enemy because obviously there's an opposite version of me out there who's an evil dog.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You have to worry about the wolf,
like the counter.
So I'm going to do it's an unknown enemy, a universe ending level unknown threat. I know there's a threat, but I don't know what it is or who it is. So 45 points. That's my disadvantage.
There you go.
I was all like, oh, I should probably start thinking about names, but then I know my name, so.
And then, of course, you're going to need to take the disadvantage of extra sleep because you sleep in and miss all of your classes.
Oh, yes, true. But that would be on me, not on my magical girl portion. Yeah. I already have clueless on me. So, yeah, extra sleep sounds good. It's 1 point for every hour?
2 points for every extra hour you need.
2 points for every extra hour I need past 8 hours.
Yes.
So I'm just going to say 4 points. Level 2.
There you go.
All right. Well, there you go. 220 points.
I'm still working at disadvantages. I'm so sorry. Everybody's done except for me. This feels very familiar to a certain other series that we did.
Yeah. Where you picked the most complicated thing to do.
Where I also made a shapeshifter. Yeah. Okay. It's fine. Ooh, klutz. Okay.
I picked that one.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me. I'm just going to move way back from my mic and start building a computer chair.
But did you take distractible?
Me?
Yeah.
Did I? I feel like I did.
Oh, and John, before you leave today, we need
I
to
took
record
indecisive and impulsive.
What? Before you leave today, we have 2 things we need to record.
That's fine.
An ad spot about the tarot card deck, and then that generic ad for the one-shot Patreon.
Okay.
Which I assume for us will be 30 seconds of making fun of James and 30 seconds of actually mentioning he has a Patreon.
Maybe.
Mundane background sounds fun. I was just a normal person, and now I'm a magical girl.
Just normal, man.
I believe it's supposed to actually have some kind of hindrance associated with it.
Yeah, it does. When you first enter play, you can only have mundane skills and equipment.
Oh, yeah. You might... Magic spells and cinematic skills and so on are off limit as well as hidden lore. You can have supernatural, but you can't use them or learn any skills that would let you use them. Yeah, you might want to avoid that if your character is well up in the 500s of points.
Yeah, because then you wouldn't be able to turn into a magical girl.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. That seems weird. Like, I was thinking mundane background before you got what you got, right?
No, that would just be a normal background.
Okay.
Mundane is you can't do this.
Oh, Lordy. Okay.
Sorry, distractible is a quirk. It's not a disadvantage.
Yeah, quirks are just -1s. You can get just extra points for up to 5 little things that aren't like, oh, this ruins or has game mechanics. It's just little things about me.
I took so many of. I had like half of them.
I probably should.
I mean, you can only have 5 quirks.
Okay, well, I have 5 quirks then.
Great.
But my character has more than that, so I made up new ones and called them 1-point disadvantages that aren't quirks, using the create disadvantages rule.
No.
Yeah, it's fine. No. Everything's fine.
No. I'm the GM. You can't do that.
I'm the GM, and I can.
And I'm the GM, and I say everything's fine.
This character's an NPC. I'm not worried about it. If anything, I'm pretty sure that in terms of making a character that isn't just me, I was the most conservative here.
Well, yeah, I had to make a monster.
Yeah.
Honestly, I could have been much less on this, but I started with, I'm going to make this the most annoying thing to fight ever. And then I went, oh, I'm already making it annoying to fight. I'll just slightly base it on something that already exists.
That's fair. I'm still sort of curious what monster you're basing it on.
See, but now I have a point left over if I add distractible.
Buy one of those 1 point, what are they called? They're not quirks, but talents or whatever. The ones that are the 1 point good things.
Oh, yeah, I probably should do that.
1 point good things.
Yeah, they're called 1 point good things, I think.
Yeah, where's that section? 1 point good things.
Yeah, the list of 1 point good things.
They are immediately after advantages.
Yeah, they are on page somewhere in here.
Oh, no, wait. Maybe they're after disadvantages. Let's go down to the bottom of disadvantages and find out.
What does
You could spend a point on honest face.
Yep, I did. I had to get over the limitation of not being able to talk.
Sanitized metabolism. I'm just looking at everything that costs 1.
Yeah, it's weird because in the index, they move all those limitations or little quirks and so on into the main lists.
Penetrating voice.
Oh, yeah, I was looking through some of those too. That's how I ended up with the temperature one. Because I was like, I need something that costs 1.
All right, so my magical girl persona has a simple trademark associated with it.
Yeah, Nike.
Yeah, not Nike. Weirdness magnet.
God, I love that one of the skills in this is just Ki.
Yeah, it's just that one page seems very thick with stuff left over from specifically the martial arts book.
Right in that area. You're like, all right, here's Jite/Sai, Judo, Karate, Ki, Kusari.
Kusari, by the way, is yet another example of the thrown weapons that are not listed under thrown weapons, but are just thrown weapons.
No, man, it's a whip.
It's like a chain with a weight on the end of it. It's basically
you don't throw it at someone, though. You flail it out.
No, you specifically do. It's a dagger at the end of a chain. The whole point of it is it's retractable. Like, yeah, you can swing it around and get some extra range out of it. But another one of the examples in there is the Addle, the spear thrower, where they're like, hey, this is its own skill. And I'm like, it's a thrown spear. You're just...
You throw it.
The end result is a spear is thrown.
Yeah, but for the Kusari, all of the skills that you would have default to it are whips and flails.
Yeah, that's fair. The Kusari is a bad example, but the Bola, for example, is also listed, and that's just a thrown weapon. It's just a thrown weapon that doesn't do damage.
Yeah, but you can also get the skill in cloak, to use your cloak in combat.
Yeah.
Which is my favorite. The cloak isn't like, ooh, you can cloaking yourself.
Shadow away. No, it's to use a cloak instead, like classic fencing style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be, classic superhero, the cape.
I hope my disdain for RPGs that are designed the same way sedimentary rocks are designed is coming across.
Wow, it sounded like you really were just super loving this game. I'm really disappointed to hear that's not the case.
Let's see. Maybe I'll take away weirdness magnet. I don't need that. Okay, that's good enough for disadvantages. Now skills. How do I do skills? I missed that part.
When I gave that
don't look at me with disappointment.
So here's the easiest way to do it. Go to that index page of all the skills and write down all the ones that sound like they're right for you. And don't worry about whether or not they are. You can figure that out if you want to scroll through the actual skills. And write down the stat value or the specific stat it uses, and then the symbol next to it, which is usually like A, H, V, or E. And that's how difficult it is to acquire the skill. And just write down those two things after each name. And when you're done going through the list, there's a chart you can go to where you can convert those AVHE things to the point cost you're going to spend on them.
Good Lord.
Okay, honestly, this is where I use the character builder thing because it has little drop downs and you can put in what is the level and what do I want the additional to my modifier to be and stuff, and it'll do that math for you.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I had to be okay, I want to buy this skill at a +3 and it's hard and now it costs 12 points.
The moment it didn't have talents built into it.
If you're not doing the builder, you have to constantly have the skill cost table up to make sure you're doing it right.
Well, like I said, the way I did it was I went through the index of skills and I wrote down those two values, IQ, H, IQ, A, and so on. And then when I went back through, I just I had that table in front of me that showed the point values and I just shot through that way. It was pretty quick.
I just need skills. Okay, so I've got 296 points towards all of my abilities, attributes,
Advantages,
disadvantages, and advantages, right? That's including the 405 points put into becoming a magical girl.
Uh-huh.
So, I don't know. So I'd be like what, 204 points to spend on skills. That's it, right?
You
Just
have as many
buy
points.
whatever you think you need for the character and then see how many points you spent.
Yeah, because you're not going to be able to spend that many on skills for the most part. They're unless you're really buying them up. They're not expensive.
I was led to believe otherwise.
Well, it depends on how.
Of skills,
if you buy a ton of skills and way above your attribute ratings, then yeah, you probably could.
Right. I'm thinking like standard high schooler, right?
Yeah, doesn't know a whole lot.
Right. Okay, going to the skills page, that's like 297 or something like that.
275 base skills. I spent the time to count them the other day.
That's because that's one of your pet peeves in the show.
Yep, it's one of my things, and I was like, I gotta know.
I think
Because I tried to look it up because I'm like, don't make me count all of these. And they're like, there's over 300 skills. And I went, is there
So like
though?
301 or
Yeah.
399?
I mean, it still isn't even close to
No, it's 275. And then technically, I think they might include spells as basically just being skills as well.
that, and any skill with a dagger next to its name, you have to choose a subdivision. So if it's they may have added some for that. Like if you choose like, oh, I know a
if
school
you pick
science,
you have to be like, yeah, but what do you know?
Yeah, which is funny because things like anthropology and sociology are already skills. So they leave that in there in case you really study something weird.
Science isn't a skill you can get.
Yeah.
If you want to do the wild card, I am a cinematic scientist and I have science as a skill, great. Otherwise, they are all broken up.
What if I'm only something of a scientist myself?
I'm half of a scientist.
The bottom half.
Yeah, whereas if you pick something like, say, survival, I think, has the dagger. Because you have to pick where you're good at surviving in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're like, oh, I do survival, and you have to pick, like, forest or swamp or whatever. And, like, you get the mechanic talent, and you have to be a car mechanic or TV VCR repair or get your degree.
So it says skill.
Yep.
And then the attribute. That makes sense.
Uh-huh.
Difficulty.
Yep.
Uh-huh. You're going to ignore that last column.
Average, hard,
just
or very
write it
hard.
down.
Yep, just write that down.
Okay.
That last column, the default column, ignore it.
That's if you didn't have the skill, what you would roll to do it.
Uh-huh.
Perfect. And then the page to find the skill on.
Yes.
And then I can have the points added later once I figure out what skills this individual would have as a high school student.
Indeed.
Bicycling.
I like to ride my bicycle.
That's an easy one.
Yeah, it's easy to ride a bike.
Yeah. That's the thing.
That's why I never learned how.
Oh.
Interesting.
Because when I was a kid, I was like, this sucks.
John, you don't know how to ride a bicycle? You just put your lips together and blow.
That would be amazing. Sit on a bike and go.
What is body language?
Trying to communicate with body language rather than words.
Uh-huh. Which is different somehow than the other skill, gesture.
And then there's also sign language as its own language.
Yeah. I guess. I guess.
I mean,
just never underestimate the importance of it. That's all.
Yeah. Don't put any points into it, but just don't underestimate it.
Yeah.
It's detect lies in psychology.
Yeah. You know how teenagers are really good at detecting lies?
Was it detect psychology?
Detect lies and psychology at -4 each, I guess.
I smell psychology.
Fee, fi, fo, fum.
Someone's discussing Immanuel Kant.
Bizarre list of skills.
That would be philosophy.
He was also something of a psychologist himself.
I don't know why that got me, but that got me good.
It's because it was a setup.
I don't know what that is, but that's fine.
Obviously, you have fortune telling.
What's carousing?
Lucky partying.
Oh.
Getting out there and shaking your groove thing and drinking it down. Also, I think maybe also sleeping around. I forget all the things that carousing
That's what
covers.
partying describes. It's fine. It's just partying.
It's just
That's
partying.
a side effect of partying.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I guess I could be
Side
a
effects.
Side
college
effects of
student.
partying include.
God, it's like we do have the mic echoing anyway.
A successful carousing roll under the right circumstances gives you a +2 bonus on a request for aid or information.
Oh.
A failed roll means you made a fool of yourself in some way. You get -2 on any reaction roll. You had a party foul.
That should be a variable. There are certain people who are more likely to reward you if you've embarrassed yourself at a party.
There are so many skills.
Yes. There
We've been
are
saying that the whole time.
275
Do
skills.
continue to list them, though.
Why are there 275 skills? So I got
Because it's GURPS, Ryan. That was like
Because
the
it's
whole
every
thing
skill
going
that
into
came
this.
in the main book of 3rd edition, and then every skill they put in all of the supplements.
all the supplements. Sure, that's fine. So what's captivate?
Why don't you read it, Ryan?
I'm looking
No,
at
don't,
the
'cause you have
list
to go
like
look
I
at a
was
page.
told to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
How about
you know
this?
what captivate?
Captivate is basically using public speaking to get people to do what you want. It's
Uh-huh.
enthrallment.
Oh.
It's enthrallment, but a different one. I think it's one of the ones where if you go to it, just tells you to look up enthrallment.
Yes.
Yeah.
And enthrallment is basically like, oh, you're so good at telling a story or public speaking, you can either captivate, which is, keep people's attention, or you can get them to do what you want. So enthrallment has a bunch of that, but it's basically like being a bard.
Amazing.
Yeah, it does actually just say see enthrallment, page 191.
How is flying leap a skill?
Oh, flying leap is the one I was talking
Because
about
it's a
earlier.
jump kick.
It's a leftover thing from when there was a martial arts book.
Okay. And flight?
Please note that it uses IQ.
And flight is if you have the ability to
uses
fly,
IQ?
how good you can
Uh-huh.
fly. Because there's
Wait,
pilot,
really?
which is piloting something that you fly around, and then flying, which is your ability to get around it while you have the ability to
Yeah,
fly.
a lot
yourself.
of the skills specifically rotate around advantages you took earlier. Like if you're playing a Superman type and you can fly, that's just your ability to get off the ground completely. But your ability to fly around and navigate and do all the kinds of things that make flying cool are a skill that you have to learn.
That's really interesting. So I better take flight because I have winged flight in my magical girl abilities.
Yeah.
What is force sword? That's like if
That
I have
would
a
be lightsaber.
force.
Yeah, lightsaber.
Lord,
I'm giving you
but I
one
don't
word
have a
answers because you're still in
lightsaber.
the F's.
Yeah. Free fall? That's
Falling.
like doing stuff and falling?
Yep.
Yeah.
While you're,
In
while you're
0G.
Lord.
You can't say that after every one of them, Ryan.
Gambling,
Lord.
games.
So gambling
Probably good
is
games.
playing through means of chance.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Hey, he's going to keep listing them.
I'm going to get games because that seems fine.
You have to
I
pick a
decided
specific
instead
game.
of teenage magical girl, this is college age magical girl.
All right, what game is it? And also, no, games is different than sports.
Yes, games. I'm assuming it's some sort of electronic game or video games that this person is good at.
Oh,
Yeah.
I picked
And you
L5R
have
for
to
my game.
Pick a specific game.
You have to pick a specific
yes,
one game.
Ryan.
Yes. Now, you can pick like, I would
Like
say,
categories or an actual like you need a name of a game.
I mean,
It wants
technically,
you to
it's
pick the name of a game.
yeah,
That's
it's supposed to be
annoying.
a specific one. But
Games.
I would
But
be
you have a
like,
lot
if
of
you want to
points,
say
so you
video
could
games,
Do you
go
mean a
for it.
specific category of games?
I'm gonna say because I was thinking just like video games, like PlayStation.
No, Brave Fencer Musashi.
You're only good at one game. I mean, I would say just put video game and it's fine.
That seems like against
it says
the rules.
you
Put an
in
asterisk next to it.
italics must specialize in a particular game.
Candy Crush.
And that game is Crokinole.
So
Hell yeah.
I'm good at Candy Crush. Apparently,
Man, I wish I was good at Crokinole.
That's just carom board stuff, right? I'm usually pretty good at carom board stuff.
What's carom board?
Flicking
Is that
stuff.
like fake chocolate?
hobby
No,
skill.
like it's like flicking stuff. Like little discs.
I'm assuming
Yeah, this
hobby
is-
skill. You can do role playing games, right?
No, that would be
Video
under
games and hobby skill.
No, hobby skill is a holdover from before there were 300 supplements. Yeah. It was supposed to be a catch-all category of like, I use this
stuff we don't have a thing for.
Yeah, and then they put out 300 supplements, so there are no more hobby skills that aren't already detailed as another skill.
Most of the time, hobby skill is essentially like a knowledge skill for stuff that doesn't matter.
Yeah,
so it'd be like, I have knowledge comic books.
Yeah.
Would be a hobby skill.
Take innate attack.
Yeah, so
because I'm assuming I can
attack,
use that skill while I'm a magical girl, right?
Yeah. Do you have like a beam or a blast or something you do as a magical girl?
Yeah.
Then you should have an advantage, so you can use it.
Yeah, that's the skill in using it. Yeah. So you would take the innate skill and you would list it as your attack that you have as a magical girl.
Okay.
Otherwise, it just doesn't have any accuracy or a way to attack with it.
That makes sense.
I mean, it does have a baseline how you attack with it, but
it's got that defaults listing, but that's what that's there for.
Taking intelligence analysis.
Obviously.
Because becoming a magical girl, I've determined, does not increase your IQ stat.
Well, intelligence analysis is like CIA analytics.
Right. But you're analyzing the intelligence that you
data.
have.
Okay.
Yeah. I figured that's useful.
Yeah, that's totally a thing that a college person does is look at intel from the government.
I'm saying
I have hacked every world government.
It's not the government's intel, it's my own intel that I'm analyzing.
The intel of every major bank and lawyer.
I'm trying to figure out what this big bad enemy is, right?
Yeah, that's not intelligence analysis. That would be if someone showed up with a report to give you.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll get rid of that then. That seems silly.
No, just keep it.
I want you to be done, Ryan. I'll keep it just for Amelia.
It is 5:30 p.m., Ryan.
Okay. I did not realize that. I want to be able to fight, so I guess I'll take karate.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Well, there's like six kinds of fighting. Karate is
just
fine,
regular fight.
And notably, karate, the first sentence of it is, this describes all kinds of unarmed fighting. So yeah, it absolutely works.
All right, so I'm doing all forms of unarmed fighting that way. Sure.
Great. It's just more expensive than brawling.
Yeah.
Which is good.
I'm not good at it. Not good at it as myself, but I am good at it when I am a magical girl. I don't need lasso. Lifting. It's just for lifting things?
Oh, yeah. Lifting is applying a vertical force or shear force upwards against a resistance of a lesser value so as to increase the elevation of the object.
It does have no effect on encumbrance or how much you can carry, though, just to be clear.
I can't imagine. I can't like think whether or not you're just reading from the book at this point.
I appreciate that.
No, I'm building a computer chair.
Not me getting messed with here.
What is light walk? Is that walking on light?
No, that's walking lightly.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, so you don't leave tracks.
Good Lord.
It's being real sneaky.
I mean, technically, that's walking without rhythm. It's a different skill.
You using Dune words?
Did you just dare to use a Dune word before me, a divine being?
Dune words.
I'm assuming makeup is for disguise and just doing your
theatrical makeup.
Yes. It's also for just doing your makeup because there's also a disguise skill.
Good Lord. What's makeup TL?
It's not just the ability to make someone pretty.
Oh, makeup according to the tech level.
So, you know, at higher tech levels, you have like prosthetics and full Mission Impossible level stuff.
Yeah, like holographic projections as opposed to just like rubbing charcoal in your hair or whatever.
Sure. I'm good with makeup. That's fine.
You're a total theater kid.
Yeah, I'm a theater kid. Kinda. I mean, they're an artist and they play Candy Crush. Theater kid.
Like any true artist, they play Candy Crush.
It does look like net observation.
It's net observation.
Occultism packing. Oh, this game has broken my brain. Parry missile weapons. Okay.
Get out of here, missile weapons.
I got to be able to do that as a magical girl, right?
Yeah, carry missile weapons is when you like help them level up, even though they're not supposed to be in this dungeon run.
No, man, parry missile weapon.
Oh, yeah.
That's a detective that
Parry
will try
missile
and figure
weapons,
out what's going on. I'm parry missile weapons.
Well,
Sounds
in
like
case you're wondering, your parry score is the skill divided by 2 plus 3 rounded down, but based on your parry missile weapon skill, not your melee weapon or unarmed combat skill.
How do you round down 3?
Shh.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Is it? Oh, there's a whole other column. It's not only a whole page; it's a page with 2 columns on it.
It's 3 pages with 2 columns.
Did I miss a page with? Did I miss a whole column? No, I didn't.
No, you didn't.
Thank God.
You don't go back. Never look
Not
back.
going
Don't
back.
even
I
look.
did not.
Don't even look.
Just start writing down words.
none of it
They'll probably
matters.
be skills.
Yeah.
Yeah, just start out like
poetry.
writing down some like general vibes, and then we can
Just
kind
do
of go from
vibes.
there.
Chill vibes.
Okay. Poetry. This person likes poetry.
Put groovin'.
Chill beats.
Prospect. I don't need that. Public speaking. Yeah. Because I gotta be speaking as a hero at times, right?
Sure.
What is push? Just pushing things?
It's you use your key in order to push stuff. Don't worry about it.
Okay. That's very not on brand for what I need. There's the sex appeal.
There's a research skill? Dang it.
There is a research skill.
God, hang on. I gotta make some changes.
Now you got to fix your character. Ooh, I'm almost done, and you're here fixing your character.
Ryan, don't look. It's not a good look.
We've been recording for 2 hours and 16 minutes on this track,
We're almost done.
and nothing has happened.
I'm building a chair.
We're almost done. Sports. No, they're not a sports person. Stage combat, though. They are a theater kid. I think that's fun. 222. Okay, perfect. Strategy.
I enjoy that in stage combat, a critical failure means you actually hit the other person.
So you just make yourself really bad at stage combat instead of making yourself really good at regular combat?
Well, I mean, it's still critical failure, so it's only a 17 or 18. It doesn't matter how good or bad you are.
Dang it.
Mm-hmm.
Thought I was
GURPS has
onto
seen
something.
through your
I
tricks.
thought I was onto something. See, now I'm... You know what? We did not
Nope.
agree. I can be 6 points over.
It's fine.
I'm okay with that.
Just go to the disadvantages section and find one that's like 5 points.
I
And then make
did
it slightly
say
worse.
between 100 points and 500 points, right?
I don't know.
Sure. Why
Did
not?
you?
I did.
And everyone ignored it because yeah.
Because it's
I-
GURPS.
That was a lifetime ago, Ryan.
Okay, what are these techniques, though?
Don't.
Don't look at those. I don't
Just
need
don't.
those.
That's fine.
Perfect.
Just don't.
They're for like martial arts
Perfect.
stuff. You don't want to get into them.
Okay, perfect. I will not worry about techniques. Typing. I'm good at typing, though. It's an easy one to get in writing. Okay, I've got all my skills. Now, how do I figure out the point values of all these skills?
Go to page 170,
Mhm.
and there will be a chart there, and it'll show the skill points cost per level you want it to be at, and for each difficulty level of the skill.
And by level, we mean how far away it is from your attribute that it is keyed to. So, for example, if it says like DX, then
The base is your dexterity,
Uh-huh.
and then however far you want it to be from that.
in what form?
So like dex -2 or dex +3 for what you would roll for that skill. So when you
So-
look at the chart on 170,
Say my dex is 7 in normal form,
It's
Uh-huh.
both. You get
But-
both.
but +6.
then it would be a different roll for the two forms.
Uh-huh.
Correct. But what would the point value of getting
It's
that
not
skill?
based on the number it ends up being. If you look at the cost table, it's just
How far
how
from
much it would add or subtract to whatever attribute you're using.
Oh, so if I say like, okay, the difficulty of the skill is easy.
Yeah. So if you
And
were to
I
get
want it-
attribute +0, it costs 1 point. If your
1
dex
point.
is 7, then you'd have it at 7 in that form. If your dex is 15 in the other form, it would be 15 because it is that stat plus nothing.
Oh, okay. Oh, I get it now.
Got it back to 100.
So I could, like, all the easies, I could start off at 1 point, right?
You can start all of them off at 1 point if you want to. You'd just be worse at them.
Oh, that's true. So say I want it to be straight 0 across the board. Average is I can do
It
2
doubles
points.
for every difficulty it goes up.
Yep. So you just
Oh,
find
that's
the
very
average cost and write each one of those down. Replace each A with 2 and each H with 4 and so on.
Now, the
Okay.
doubling is not across the board. It's just attribute 0 happens to double across the board.
Yes.
It does kind of go up by, okay,
4.
yeah, that's
Once
a
you
weird,
hit 4 points, it goes up by 4 every time.
Sure. Okay. So I think I want to be good at captivating, because why not? It's
Captivating
a hard one,
isn't
though,
a
isn't
skill. It's enthrallment.
it? Hard. 4, 8, 12, 16. I'll do 20 points in captivate. Which means I've got
Captivate is not a skill.
captivate plus. It said it was a
It's
skill.
Captivate is part of
enthrallment.
enthrallment.
It's
fine.
captivate, C enthrallment.
Okay, so it's a skill, just a different name for enthrallment.
Right. I'm just saying if you go in the book and look for captivate, you're not going to find it.
So captivate plus 4,
Okay.
20 points. Enthrallment plus 4, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Sure.
You do you.
I just want to know what dreaming means.
So when you sleep,
Come on.
You see, it's
Uh,
a
no,
wish that your heart makes.
I mean, I'm a little bit making fun of you, but also that is actually what the skill is.
I know. It looks like it's for controlling and remembering your dreams.
Yeah.
Yes. How good you are at dreaming. And in that case, good more or less translates to lucid dreaming.
That's pretty cool. That's a fun little quirk of this character. They're good at lucid dreaming. Also a hard ability. I'll just hit it at plus 4 because I've got the points to spare. I want to be good at flying. It's an average. Also 20 points. That'll be plus 5.
What is the stat you have associated with flying, which I assume is Dex?
HT.
Oh, HT. And what is your HT stat when you're in magical girl form?
It is 7 plus 8.
So 15.
15.
So
Then
at plus 5,
you
it goes all the way up to
basically-
20.
Yeah,
And
a
you-
plus 1 gets you at the max you would ever need to roll.
Uh-huh. Keep in
But
mind that if you ever
isn't-
roll a 17 or 18, you fail and crit fail automatically, regardless of how high your skill stat is.
But isn't 20 plus give you bonuses to the earlier,
It'll
the
increase
crit range?
the crit success range.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yes.
That's fair.
That's what I want. I want to get that crit success range in there. I don't care about my games for Candy Crush. But I want to be good at Dex. So be 13. Outside of that, plus 3 would get me to my basic maximum, right? You want 16 at most.
Pretty much.
Because 17
Unless
and 18,
you are-
unless you go to 20 plus.
Yeah, unless you were
16
trying to use it as there's a whole bunch of other skills that are like this skill minus 4, and you care about having it high so that the other skills are good.
That, or if you intend to face a lot of environmental penalties, in which case, you're flying, but it's like a tornado and you have to fly at a -6, then you're like, great, well, it reduces it from 20 to 14 instead of from 18 to 12.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that means that takes that from a 1 to an 8. Same with karate. It's going to be plus 3. So it's going to take me from a 4. I don't have any very hard skills, so that makes it easier, to a 16. When you said this was a lot of work, I believed you.
But you didn't understand.
I didn't understand.
You need to know, if we say something is a lot of work, it's not like, oh, you'll spend 10 more minutes on this. No, it's going to suck.
Our baseline is different from everyone else's baseline. That's just the way. That's just the way the show has made us.
Yeah,
That makes
because we
sense.
have to make characters in our crap games that we review. So normally we're like, oh, it took me 3 hours to make this character. That was bad.
But now that I've got a couple under my belt, like for the categories, it's like, oh, I want this +3. Now I know that needs to be 16 points. That's not too bad. So average +2. Goodness gracious. Okay. All right. I'm just putting random values in these now. So public speaking +2 is a hard 2. 12. Stage combat +3. That's a average. That's a 12. Strategy +2 is a hard. That's a 12. Tactics +3. That's a 16. See, I'm getting there. And then writing +1. Because I want to be a decent writer. That's a 4. For a grand total of 478 points for my character.
There you go.
Great.
I'm under the 500 mark. I choose not to min-max any more than that.
You are the most expensive character here.
Good Lord. Okay.
Should we take a break?
So what did we make? What did we make? We're at the end of the episode.
Don't play GURPS.
Don't play. Why?
Do you want to keep this and go rolling into the next into the next?
I mean, this is a 2.5 hour recording right now. We should probably stop and make a new recording.
It's
okay.
It's Ryan's editorial choice.
You know what we're gonna do? We have a discussion episode. Let's introduce our characters at the beginning of our discussion episode because why not?
Okay.
Great. So,
All right.
stopping this recording.
Well, let's do a podcasting thing where we actually wrap up the episode like we normally do.
We didn't do that for the first episode, so that makes sense. Yeah.
Jeff and Jon, thank you so much for going through all of this with us. Do you want to remind people where they can find you online?
Yeah, go ahead, find us. We are System Mastery. So systemmasterypodcast.com for our website. You can go System Mastery on Patreon to support us. We're at System Mastery on all the socials.
Mm-hmm.
So
And of course,
all over the place.
We are technically part of the One Shot Network, technically. So you can find us in the list of shows there under discussion. I don't remember if that website even works. So it's very slipshod organization over there.
It's
Yeah.
those people, honestly.
You're much better off just going to patreon.com/System
That's
Mastery.
a great place to start. Also, I mentioned earlier that we write books, but I forgot to say the names of any of them. That's Dungeon Meister and the Dungeon Meister Cookbook would be my recommendation of where to start. That's a fun list of cocktail books or cocktails. It's a cocktail recipe book with a party role-playing game theme and an accompanying cookbook with the same structure. And you can find those wherever books are sold. Except game stores.
Yeah, except
California game stores, which is an incredible problem for us.
I was going to say, I found them in my game store.
Yeah, they're in
my friendly local.
Yeah, they're in every FLGS in the country, as far as I can tell, except California. And we have been fighting that to figure it out.
The distributors out here are very different.
Yes. But it's in Michael's. It's in the Michael's across the street.
If you
want to
go to Joanne's Fabrics and find our book, you can do it.
Yep.
Wow. That's
amazing.
Bananas.
It's crazy. I love it.
You're reaching whole new audiences, I guess. Or maybe not, because I feel like, that's probably a lot of the cosplayers and things like that.
Oh, I'm sure.
Everyone in Joanne's Fabrics is a nerd.
All I need for them to be at Joanne's Fabrics is to drink. And then
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Do you like this cheeseburger on the cover of this book?
There's a whole fried egg on that bad boy.
Please get drunk by Fabric.
Yep.
There you go. Well, thank you so much, Jeff and Jon. And I'll recover from this for the discussion, but thank you to everybody for listening. If you're still
We're
here,
sorry.
We apologize, but also please join us for the next episode where you get to learn what we actually did here.
Yep.
Call to action.
Yeah, like that. This was a long one.
It was very long.
So this recording, for a little behind the scenes for people, normally our recordings take like 5-ish hours to do all 3 episodes. This one took 7.
Took 7 hours. Yeah.
7 hours.
It was a little bit longer than the recording that we did for our D&D episodes.
That one was like so much more goofing around though.
Yes.
This one was, we were
7
working.
actual hours of doing actual stuff.
Right.
Yeah, and
the
I
D&D
had
one was a lot of goofing around.
I had to cut it all down, so it was fine.
Yeah.
It was fine.
Yeah. So like I think some of that fatigue definitely kind of crept in. It was also like, this is a lot. It was just a lot to look through.
It was a lot.
I knew it would be.
Yeah.
I think I didn't fully appreciate like the cognitive load of that, of like trying to make sense of it all, I think. And yeah, people will hear next time that we do really have a like really good discussion about how GURPS works and like what it is and isn't good at, same as we always do. But I definitely think we come off in these episodes as like, I mean, whenever we have Jef and Jon, we are usually pretty critical, but because that's what they do. That's what they're good at. But I think GURPS is probably one of those games that becomes better the more you do it.
Yes. I can see that 100% because like going through the process now, like now I have a base to kind of compare whatever against, right?
Yeah.
And I can see that it's just like a lot of the toolkit games out there. It requires work ahead of time. All of the toolkit games require work.
I don't know. We should talk about that on a bonus episode or something sometime. You know, that like we are not good at communicating that. And I don't think it comes across to our listeners necessarily. Like we are coming into most of these games totally cold.
Yeah.
Like we are having them explained to us on air. And then we jump into the process.
Yeah.
So when you get to a game like GURPS that has just so much, it's hard to do on air. Like, I mean, we are obviously it gets edited for time and content and stuff, but we are essentially like doing this live. We're not. Yeah. We don't learn the game before we hop on air. And this was a really. It made this character creation. This was tough. It was tough.
Yeah. I did come out on the other end appreciating GURPS a ton more than when I like, because I had all that 90s baggage, right?
Yeah. And I've always joked about it, but like the concept itself is, you know, like I definitely understand why you would want something like GURPS. Right. And, you know, again, for people that really love that kind of math thing, I don't.
I mean, there's a reason you made the choices you made for your character.
Right. I don't like math, and analysis paralysis is hard. This was, I think, not even the system so much that I didn't like as the way it interacted with my neurodivergence. This was hard for me.
It was, especially like going in cold.
Right.
If you had a few character creations under your belt, I'm pretty sure, especially if we would have had setting and here's the stuff you can choose from ahead of time. 100%.
Right. Yeah. If we had like a more solid theme and I definitely think this is one that like if we went and did character creation again, I wouldn't sound nearly as frustrated as I do. But it was one of those like it was a long recording. It is a lot to distill into an episode. So
all that to say, we didn't even finish character creation this episode.
Right.
There's still more, a little bit, in next episode during our opening intros because there was just so much.
There's just a lot. There's a lot. And with these more like toolkit style systems, that cognitive load is definitely heavier. Yeah.
It's definitely something we're going to keep in mind going forward with any additional game. I think we covered most of them. So far.
Ryan.
I mean,
Ryan, my sweet summer child.
We covered Genesis. We covered Cortex Prime. We covered GURPS now. We haven't covered like Fate proper, I guess, yet. So that might be another one on the list, but I don't know like too many other toolkit games.
Oh, there's all kinds.
Well,
there's
sure
all
there
kinds.
Is.
Never say that. Never say that.
I know. Okay.
Yeah. No. So I do know that I'm very aware that this comes across as like, rawr, we hate GURPS. I just want to be clear. I do not hate GURPS. And I think it comes out in the next episode. This is very much just like, this is a very trying experience for me.
Know. It was certainly a trial.
Yeah. And you asked someone with pretty significant ADHD to sit still for 7 hours. So
I don't think anybody, even that loves GURPS and has been playing it for decades, could fault us for it being a trial of an experience.
It was, yeah.
For our very first exposure to it. So
yeah.
Hopefully you stick around for next episode where we put everything together. And honestly, like, gosh, it came together really well. I really love the series. Jef and Jon are always fantastic, but
it's true. And you know what? If nothing else, stick around to finish filling in your soundboard of Amelia's frustrated sounds.
I know. There you go.
Because we have to be pretty high up there at this point. Ugh.
I know. Exactly.
Why?
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 But before we let you go for the day and hopefully get to next week's episode, we do have some calls to action. And this is the special Patreon Drive Update May edition.
First up, the big announcement. Drum roll. We reached our initial goal!
Woo!
Yay! So we have reached our first goal of $100 a month. Meeting that goal means that now we are able to cover all of the costs associated with producing this show, which is very exciting for us.
Mm-hmm.
We've been making this show for 5 years now, and knowing that we have that much support feels incredible. So thank you to everyone who has backed us so far.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Hitting that goal also means that we can now officially say that all patrons at the $5 and up level will be receiving special C3 branded dice. These are going to be 16 millimeter, the generic regular size.
I put that in there because Ryan always says 16 millimeter and my brain is like, I don't know what that means. So it's not the mini dice. It's like the regular dice.
Yeah. You can get 12 Chessex 6-sided dice to a cube.
Yes.
Or you can get these 3 custom ones from us. And they are the 16 millimeter size. They are Chessex. They are in our signature teal, purple, and green with a C on the 6 face. We will even ship them internationally. So if you are or end up becoming a $5 patron, please make sure that we have the correct address for you in Patreon. If you previously selected that you didn't want physical rewards, or you did not list an address, we won't be able to send them to you. If you're not sure if you listed your address or not, you can always send us a message. We'll figure it out. And I know that those that had signed up previously and did not have their address, there might be an email in your inbox for one last attempt if you are wanting the dice. So.
Yeah, so I will say, like, if you got a thank you note, if you're a $5 plus person and you got a thank you note, if your thank you note was digital, I do not have your address. If your thank you note was physical, I got your address.
Yes.
But, also always make sure that it's correct.
Absolutely. And if you don't want your address in Patreon, feel free to contact us outside of it. We will treat it with the utmost confidentiality. So don't worry about that.
Yes. Hitting that $100 goal also means that we're now marching toward our next goal, which is $200 a month. If we reach that goal, we will send out custom enamel pins to all of our $5 and up backers. There's just under a month left of our drive, and we're really, really hoping to reach that milestone. I've come up with a really fun design, and I desperately want to see it out in the world, and I desperately want one for my own personal use because they're cute and I like them.
They're so cute.
Additionally, if we reach this goal and we're able to maintain it for, I think, like 2 months or something like that.
2 months, I believe, yeah.
Then we will be able to start offering discounts to backers who choose to pay upfront annually rather than monthly. Which means if you start backing us now, you're helping to make it even cheaper to back us in the future. And also you get dice and a pin, maybe. So
maybe. Yeah, exactly.
That would be pretty great.
That would be pretty great. Yeah, we got a lot going on for the Patreon drive. This is where I pull out the Ron Popeil of, but wait, there's more. Because
Yeah, do your best, Billy Mays. Ryan Bolter here.
Ryan Bolter here. Wait for all the great deals that are coming at you. We have worked really hard to make sure that our patrons are getting their money's worth every single month. Depending on what level you're backing us, you could get so many different perks, like
a handmade or digital thank you note,
thank you shout outs on the podcast,
additional Patreon-only channels in our Discord server, discord.charactercreationcast.com if you haven't joined yet,
copies of our character sheets,
weekly bonus chit-chat episodes where we just talk about anything and everything going on in our lives. It's a little window into our lives outside of the podcast to help you get to know us better.
Mm-hmm. Monthly Undying Bonds episodes where we work on designing a game together that fuses everything that we love about magical girls, necromancers, and drama.
Drama. You gotta say it like that. Playtest materials for that game when we have something usable ready.
Mm-hmm. Early access to all of our episodes as they are edited.
A personalized ad-free feed for the podcast.
Monthly Zoom hangouts with other patrons and us, of course.
Bonus actual play episodes of microgames or live panels that we've done and will do in the future, probably.
Character Creation Cast Dice.
And much, much more.
And so much more. Oh, my goodness.
Actually, I mean, I don't know how much more, but there's some other stuff too, probably.
Right. There's a whole bunch. We're even potentially planning for some other stuff in the near future. So keep an eye out for any other announcements. Goodness gracious.
We are incredibly grateful for all of the support we've gotten over the last 5 years. We are especially thankful to all of you who helped us reach this first goal, especially to our 2 new patrons since last week, Liam G. and Brian Colm, who officially pushed us over that line.
Ooh. Thank you both so incredibly much for joining this incredible list of generous folks that we would also love to thank right now. Like our first patron, Lieutenant, thank you so much.
Thanks to DJ G, aka Tigranosaurus. We are so glad to have you backing us.
Eric Bonts, you rock, thank you.
Many thanks to Shadim Cabal.
Thank you, Daryl Holiday II. Your support brings us a lot of joy.
The Shyest Barbarian, you rock, thank you. You're doing great.
Benjamin Sweeney, thanks for supporting our dreams.
Thank you to Lorcan McGinnis.
Rob Fletcher, you shouldn't have, but we are so glad that you did.
Kevin Brown, thank you for your continued support.
Tentacle Duck, we appreciate your support. Thank you.
John Adamus, thank you for believing in us.
A3 Sketchpad, we also appreciate your support. Thank you.
Cole McCallum, our deepest thanks.
We're glad to have you here. Carlos Salazar, thanks for supporting.
Many thanks to Eric S.
Ross Kingston, thank you so much.
Ian Potmeyer, thank you for helping us make this show.
Grace Bergeron, you shouldn't have, but we're very glad that you're here with us.
And we appreciate your support, Suragoth. Thank you. Did I say it right?
I believe so.
Okay.
And thank you to all of our future patrons. Your support means so much to us and will help us make this show even better the more support that we end up getting. Again, join us at patreon.com/charactercreationcast and find out all the cool stuff we have going on and help us reach that next goal.
We don't have any new reviews to read either, so if you aren't able to back our Patreon, but you still want to hear us say your name on the show, another great way to support us is by leaving a review for the show on Apple Podcasts, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, or Facebook. We read all of our 5-star reviews on the show, so it's a great way to get your shout out that way too.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Our next episode wraps all of this series up with a beautiful bow. We get a chance to talk about some of the places GURPS actually shines too. Once we, put down most of the math.
Yeah, once I have to stop doing, advanced calculus, I'm less grumpy.
Exactly. So join us next time for our discussion episode.
Until then, take care, everyone. Stay safe, drink some water, relax your shoulders, protect yourself from the math demons, and keep making those amazing people. We'll see you next time.
Character Creation Cast is a production of the One Shot Podcast Network and can be found online at www.charactercreationcast.com. Head to the website to get more information on our hosts, this show, and even our press kit. Character Creation Cast can also be found on Twitter at CreationCast or on our Discord server at discord.charactercreationcast.com. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Bolter, and I can be found on Twitter at Lord Neptune or online at lordneptune.com. Our other host, Amelia Antrim, can be found on Twitter at Ginger Reckoning. Music for this episode is used with a Creative Commons license or with permissions from the podcast they originated from. Further information can be found within the show notes. Our main theme music is Hero, remixed by Steve Combs, and is used with a Creative Commons license. This podcast is owned by us under Creative Commons. This episode was edited by Ryan Bolter. Further information for the game systems used in today's guest can also be found in the show notes. If you'd like to support our show, find us on Patreon. Get access to bonus episodes, extra outtakes, and much more at patreon.com/charactercreationcast. Thanks for joining us. And remember, we find the best part of any role-playing game is character creation. So go out there and create some amazing people. We'll see you next time.